I found an excellent job opportunity at this really nice office. Everything was going very smoothly. I had pretty much gotten the job at a previous interview, and I was just in to fill out onboarding paperwork. I was so stoked because the onboarding questions were about accommodations I'd like at this job, like, what kind of snacks should we keep on hand for you? What kind of caffeinated beverages do you like? All was going well. But I was offered coffee earlier, and of course accepted it, because I love free stuff. This coffee was so good, and I drank it down really fast. So of course coffee did what coffee does, and before I knew it I had to use their bathroom. It was a really nice bathroom, with poo-pourri and everything. I really was able to relax and let it all out. There was a hole of excess in my system that morning. I had been drinking a lot and eating party food all day before, because it was the weekend. It took a lot of toilet paper for me to get my ass clean too. Well anyways, I washed my hands and admired how nice the bathroom was before I left. Then I went back to finish my paperwork. Anyone notice any missing steps here? I forgot to flush my dookie. I was sitting on my computer filling out the rest of the paperwork when a female worker went into the bathroom. It's unisex. And I heard her exclaim, "Ah, what the," from the bathroom. I immediately realized I was the last one in there. I looked at the door as I heard the sound of a flush from the toilet as she tried to get rid of it so that she could go. But I didn't hear the bowl clear. I only heard the bowl fill up with water. She was not happy. I watched her leave the bathroom and go whisper something in the ear of the guy in charge of the office. They had to figure out how to unclog it. There wasn't a plunger in there, so they went looking for one. When he went to take a look at the bathroom, the water was at the brim of the bowl, a yellowish-brown soup, cold and filled with globs of brown-streaked TP. I was the only new person in the building, so of course everyone knew it was me. I tried to just pretend like I was on my computer the whole time, and they didn't yell me or anything, they just dealt with it. A lot of the toilet water got on the bathroom floor, and they didn't have a janitor in until that evening. I finished my paperwork, but they were really upset about the toilet, and the boss was not as friendly afterwards. I finished my paperwork, but I never heard back from them even after I tried to follow up.
Warning. Don't read this if you have any problems with feces and that kind of shit. Pun intended. Someone told me that I should share this embarrassing story, so here we go. Disclaimer. English isn't my first language, so I'm sorry for all the spelling grammar mistakes. Me, F18, had just gotten in a relationship with my new sweet boyfriend, M20. A little info about me. I have a chronic stomach wound which pops up whenever I'm really stressed. The relationship was very new, so we were both still quite shy. We had just gotten comfortable enough farting in front of each other, though, and often made a joke out of it. About a month into our relationship, I had to go to the hospital with my stomach wound. I was there for a week, and he was super supportive the whole time. When I finally got home from the hospital, my body was so weak, I wasn't allowed to drink or eat anything the whole week because of the tests they had to make. Therefore, my body had pretty much shut down. Nothing had come in, so nothing came out. I got prescribed some laxatives that I took. Never having taken them before, I didn't know what to expect, but it definitely wasn't this. We were laying in bed. I was on my side looking at my phone, and he was half sitting up in bed, playing RuneScape on his laptop in front of me. I could feel a fart coming, so I looked up into his ease with a smirk face expression and said, "I'm shitting." I meant to say, "I'm farting," but the words came out wrong, and so did something else. The moment I said it, I let it all out, still with a smirk face expression, looking him right in the eyes. You could hear a wet, bubbly sound, and I instantly knew what had happened. My smile faded, and my face turned to horror. My hand flew down to stop the flow, but it was too late. Boyfriend jumped up and ran to the toilet to bring me paper. He helped me clean up while just laughing hysterically. I was so embarrassed that I couldn't even say anything. Later, when we sat and talked, he told me that it was the most intimidating thing he had ever experienced. The way I looked right into his eyes, he had never felt so dominated in his life. Like a monkey shitting in its hand and throwing it. Needless to say, we got very quickly comfortable with intimate things like that after this. Even though we've broken up since then, and it's been a few years, I'm to this day still just as embarrassed.
My girlfriend and I have been in a relationship for 4 years and have been living together in a rented apartment for 2 years. Yesterday, she and I went to a party. There we both drank alcohol and had fun. At the party, there was a guy who from time to time approached a random woman and asked them, "Can you give me a kiss on the cheek?" So that at the last second, the guy moved his face, causing his lips to collide with those of the girl he asked before. I warned my girlfriend about that guy, and she could even see it with her own eyes. And I told her to be careful if he approaches her and asks for the same thing, because there were also several girls who refused, and he simply did not insist. A couple of hours later, I was with my girlfriend and that guy comes up and asks my partner the same thing. She takes me aside to have a quick talk and tells me that nothing will happen, that if he tries, she will move back herself so they don't kiss. I told her that I did not agree with this at all and that I felt very uncomfortable and that I would not take responsibility if she ended up doing it. She ignored what I said and ended up accepting. I don't know why, but I wasn't surprised when she didn't back away like she said and ended up kissing him. She then looked at me and got uncomfortable. Then the boy went the other way to continue with his fun. I wasn't mad at him. I was mad at her. I just turned around and went to our apartment. She followed me even though I didn't tell her to do so, saying that she didn't have time to react and that it wasn't her fault. Since we were in a public place, I didn't want to make a scene. So I waited until we got home. Once at home, I told her that yes, it was entirely her fault. She saw how the guy did that with other women, and I even warned her that this could happen, and she still did it. She said that the alcohol made her act reckless. I told her not to come out with her shitty excuses, that she was fully aware of what happened, and that this was pure infidelity to my damn face. At this moment, she went to visit her sister because today is her birthday. I told her that I would not go, and I told her explicitly that I want to reevaluate our relationship. If she is going to use alcohol as an excuse for her infidelities, then I can't trust her anymore. If she does that to my face, I don't want to imagine what she would do when she is with her friends. Before leaving, she begged me not to exaggerate, that I can't throw away 4 years for a non-consensual kiss. I told her that the moment she agreed to play that boy's game, she was already giving her consent to what could pass. She is already an adult, and I expected her to act according to her age. The more time passes, the more I want to tell her to go to hell. The rent contract ends at the end of the year, but I was thinking of using a part of our savings to pay the rest and end it prematurely. I don't want to be with someone who can kiss the first idiot I meet at a party and wait for me to accept it without problems. On the other hand, it makes me quite sad to have to leave the relationship, but forgiving a lack of respect of this magnitude is opening the door to more things like this happening in the future. My younger sister and my parents agree with me, but my older brother, who is the closest person to me in the family, thinks it can be solved. I really don't know what to do. I've been feeling something in my gut the last month or so. I just got into a new relationship with this girl in November. It was feeling like she was going out every weekend. Which is fine because she's in her last year of nursing school, so she deserves to have fun and celebrate. Then I noticed she was snaping other guys, claiming they were all just good guy friends she made over time at the university. Some of that may be true, but she is acting very single. She will go to the bars and post videos of her talking shots with guy friends when I'm not there. I was called insecure and sensitive last time I was suspicious of these actions. She is a friendly and young fun girl. I get that, but something just felt up. I was only getting posted on private Snapchats because she claimed she didn't like the pictures we had. Someone on Reddit told me to check her phone, so I did yesterday. Turns out she's been texting her ex-boyfriend for 2 months straight when her and I first started our committed relationship. They were texting every day. You could tell he was trying to get more of our her. He would send her all these different type of pictures. She wouldn't send any back, but she would flirt with him, tell him he looks good and all. While dating me, while sleeping with me, when I went home. So now my trust is gone. I am upset. Because the ex is a 27-year-old doo-doo with a kid just like me. It's just a similar situation. She was also sending him the same texts and pictures she would send me. I guess Saturday she saw her ex at the gas station, the one she has been texting. I guess they talked at the gas station then. She had the nerve to text him and tell him he looks good and can she give him his sweatshirt back. Is she not over this guy? I was so disappointed to see that. I think she likes attention. I also found dudes she used to send nudes to, and they still try and Snapchat her. She also lives with roommates who cheat. Now, since I found out yesterday, she's been acting super nice and bought me a haircut this week. Now saying she wants me to meet her mom. I don't know how to act towards her now. I don't know what I should do. I moved away from my hometown to go this new school for her. My buddy told me to move back home. Well, a couple of weeks ago I found out that my wife cheated on me 6 years ago. The way I found out is that her sister told me, after going to visit her to find out how the delivery of her first child was. She confessed to me that 6 years ago my wife told her that she slept drunk with her best friend. In her words, my wife was very sorry. At the time, she told me I was with my son, and immediately after leaving her house, I went to take a paternity test with him, fearing the worst. A week later, I get the results and my fears came true. My son is not mine. For some reason, I began to see the boy differently, more as an acquaintance than a son. With proofs in hand, I confronted my wife at night when the child was sleeping. She asked me who told me, and I simply told her that it is none of her business. Although obviously it will not take long to connect the dots that it was her sister, well, that is not my problem now. Regardless of that, I asked her for a divorce, which is now in process. She was devastated. She swore to me more than once that nothing happened with anyone again, that she has been faithful to me in body and soul since then. I held back the urge to insult her to avoid complications during the divorce issue, not believing a word she said, mostly blaming the alcohol instead of taking the blame herself. After talking about it, she threatened me saying that she would demand full custody of the child. I was so annoyed at that moment that I told her, okay, I don't want anything to do with something that is not mine, that she keep the child and I'll keep the dogs. We have 2 dogs that we adopted as puppies and they are currently 8 years old each. After my words, she tried to convince me to take care of the child with her, that I am his father. At that moment, I exploded. I was so angry and I had held back so much the urge to scream that I just yelled her to go and take her bastard with her. A week has passed since that, and I am at home. It is in my name because it is a gift from my parents. She went to her parents' house with her kid. She has not called me since then. She left with everything and the half-asleep kid when I yelled at her. Especially since it was the first time I really yelled at her, it sure affected her. I talked to my parents, and my dad told me that I did the right thing and that I shouldn't be raising something that is not of my blood, and I agree with him. However, the pain is still there. My younger brother told me to write here to entertain myself. I am currently seeing a therapist 3 times a week who told me that I have already taken the first step, which was to leave behind what causes me pain. It just hurts to know that my family no longer exists. Regarding why my sister-in-law told me everything, according to her, she felt guilty seeing me always happy with my son, knowing that he may not be mine, and that the fact that we went to visit her in a moment of weakness caused her to completely break down with guilt. I don't know how true that is. I just know that right now I feel tremendous hatred for my wife and a feeling between pain and resentment for the child, although it's just time to get ahead. I just hope the divorce goes smoothly, we have separate financiers and properties, and if she really asks for child support, I have proof that it's not mine, according to my lawyer. That's more than enough if she tries a legal process. For that, my therapist also recommended that I not see him nor her, that regardless of the child's feelings, I should focus on my own first, that the child is no longer my problem, and the sooner I accept it, the better. I think it was around 14 at the time, and my friend wanted to sleep over my house, and so around this time he was obsessed with this one girl who went to our school, and the whole night. He was looking at pictures of her on Instagram, which I found. When I was 12, I knew this girl who I was good friends with. We were just casually chatting one day, and she started joking around with me by making fun of my dead grandmother and family dog at the time. So I ignored her for about 4 hours, and she kept bugging me. Fast forward to lunchtime, and she's hitting my shoulder, calling my name, and yelling into my ear, trying to show me something on her phone. I was very clearly annoyed with her because of that morning, so I blatantly yelled, "Shut the fuck up!" in front of my friends and at her. She began snapping back at me and eventually said, "What did I do? Why are you yelling at me? Is it because I made fun of your life? Get over it. You know neither of them cared for you." And for some background info, I loved my grandma and my family dog. They were always there for me, and my grandma spoiled me like a baby. She was a huge part of my life too. So practically, I was done. I got up, called her ugly and any other insult a kid in middle school would say, and walked over to another table. Fast forward about 2 weeks later after we stopped talking, I saw a post of hers on Instagram saying, "This is all his fault. I'm ending it all because of him. Osh my name." 43. And she didn't. She came to school the next day. believe me. This girl said she was killing herself about 7 times that month. But everyone else was involved. She told everyone and gaslighted my entire middle school, not including teachers, into hating me. I was constantly shoved into lockers, came home with black eyes sometimes, constantly got jumped by the popular kids, etc. I fell into depression pretty quickly after that, and life was just constant hell. I had to stay there because my family was struggling financially, and they couldn't bring me to a new school because they were constantly at work. Fast forward a year later, and she did it again after it all cooled down. But this time, it was much, much, much worse. She told everyone I essayed her and that I had raped her. She even had a friend make fake texts on her phone with the same details as my account to her saying I was going to essay her. I was expelled from that school because of a shitty lie someone made about me. I'm nearly in my 30s now and have my very own family with a wonderful wife and a son and daughter. Even years later, I still feel so scared talking about it because of her. I developed trust issues and couldn't believe anything because of her. Thank you for letting me share my story. I think it was around 14 at the time, and my friend wanted to sleep over my house, and so around this time he was obsessed with this one girl who went to our school and the whole night. He was looking at pictures of her on Instagram, which I found kind of weird. But anyway, I used to have a bookshelf in my room, and on the top of it was a bunch of stuffed animals, and because there were so many, they would often fall on the floor. And in this one case, there was a Mickey Mouse stuffed animal that was 15 inches tall, maybe. And fast forward about 4 hours, I was in my bed, and he was sleeping at the foot of my bed, and I felt a shake. But I just ignored it, and then I felt another shake, and then another one, and then eventually just kept going and didn't stop. So I turned my flashlight on and pointed at him, and he had taken a pocket knife that was on the shelf near the foot of my bed, cut a hole in between the legs of the Mickey Mouse, and I just looked at him with his hands on the stuffed animal, moving it up and down on top of him. And on his phone was a picture of the girl. He quickly threw it across the room and started laughing while I had a disturbed face, kind of laughing. I ended up falling asleep shortly after that, but the next day he went home. The Mickey Mouse doll had dried semen on it, and for some reason I never got rid of it. I just put it in a trash bag and left it in a storage room in my basement. I recently had discovered it, again, and decided to share the story. Me and my now ex-girlfriend are in our early 20s, and she's the first girlfriend I've ever had. We started seeing each other this past summer, about 8 to 9 months ago, and we connected really fast and everything sort of clicked with her, to the point where she asked me a month into dating to be his boyfriend. But I decided to wait a bit more. So about a month and a half after we started dating, she tells me she wants to expand her social circle. For context, she's been suffering from depression and some mental health issues for years, along with a bad family situation and a really nasty experience with a friend with benefits before me. So in turn, she only hangs out with her best female friend, and occasionally with her best friend's group, and here and there with a couple of guys she knows since many years ago. She's currently not working nor studying, and she used to spend a lot of time in her house with the computer. I understood her desire to meet new people and friends, so I try helping her with ideas. However, she seems very fixed into creating an account on a dating app she used to use a year ago or so to hook up with guys. She insists she likes me and wants to be with me, that she will make it very clear in her profile she's only interested in friendship and is already seeing someone, and she's only trying to know friends, male or female, and assures me she won't let anything else happen. I was hesitant, but in the end, she convinced me and I said okay, even though I wasn't entirely comfortable. I know it was a stupid decision. So she creates the profile, and we continue dating for a while, and during this time she occasionally sent me screenshots of guys who tried to hit on her while she laughed at them. I was still not entirely comfortable with that, but I decided to wait and see what happened. Then another month goes by and we are still very much close. Everything is going great and we like each other a lot, but suddenly she tells me that she's been chatting with this guy for a week, and he seems like a good guy without bad intentions, and she's going to meet him in real life that night. I was caught off guard by that, and I just said, okay. And the next day she told me about how the meeting went and how much of a good time she had with him, and that he found a buddy to smoke weed here and there. She smokes weed once or twice a week, but I don't. She also reassured me that she didn't feel anything for him, and she was happy she made a new friend. Fast forward a week, and in the middle of a conversation I ask her about this guy, and she says he just disappeared after meeting her IRL. and she was now chatting with a couple of other guys. That was the point when I couldn't hold it anymore, and told her I really wasn't comfortable with her talking to other men on a dating app, even if it was just to make friends. I told her that I feel disrespected, and that it's not an appropriate thing to do if you are starting a possible relationship with someone already, and that there are other ways to make friends. She agreed with me, apologized, and decided to delete the app for good, and we went back to normal. About a month and a half later of having an amazing time together, we become an official couple, and things look great. Fast forward to 2 months of relationship, and the guy she met in person suddenly talks to her again. And, according to her, he told her he ghosted her because he didn't want to create issues between me and her, and that he likes her a lot. I said, okay, at least this guy was honorable instead of being a piece of shit, and I'm ready to move on and leave this topic behind, but she tells me she wants to meet with him again, just to hang out. She had already established a date with him before telling me even. I was so surprised and disappointed because I thought she understood that this whole ordeal made me uncomfortable, including the fact that she already met someone. I explained to her that, again, I thought it was inappropriate, especially because the guy likes her, and she agreed again and said she thought if she already had a friend that she could keep seeing him, and she didn't realize about the importance of this. In any case, the guy ghosted her again, so we forgot about that. Now, 3 months later, with things going on great again, she brings back the topic of meeting new people. I start giving her options and ideas, going to bars with me, hanging out with my friends, joining Facebook groups, etc., but she wants to get back on the dating app again. She assures me this time it's going to be harder to meet someone in person, that she's not going to put a profile picture, that she's going to be more careful, etc. But this time I didn't believe her. I already had enough of it. So a couple days later, after thinking about it, I broke up with her because I felt there was something about this whole ordeal she was hiding from me and I couldn't trust her anymore. So we talk again after some days of sadness and crying, and I ended up asking her a question. If you had met with that first guy in real life but you were single, would you have become more than friends? Her reply, yes, but it's not a big deal because I didn't do anything since I was with you. Turns out she liked the guy, who also liked her, and wanted to keep having dates with him while she was my girlfriend. Not only that, but after I told her how I felt all those months ago, she brought the same thing back and wanted to start it all over again, and she also lied to me when she said he was going to be only a friend. So after reading that, I stopped feeling bad altogether. I told her goodbye and blocked her from everything. Moral of the story, if your gut feeling tells you something ain't right, listen to it. Don't be afraid to speak up and value yourself before others. Also, this girl is nuts.